introduce yourself for the audience. So can you introduce yourself a little bit and then do that too?
Sure. Um, I'm Syren Wind, and I mostly predominantly feel frequency, sound, tone, energy, light, and light code, and various aspects of that as my mission, layers of my mission, really, which comes through singing, sounding, toning, drawing, writing, coding, and excavating some of the codes that have been buried or left behind per se, or encrypted in places, re-emerging and decoding or overriding some of those as well into our now return to divinity. And what about you, Sean?
Powerful. I'll go back to something you said with that. Uh, yeah, I'm Sean Baum, founder of PsionicLeague, PsionicLeague.com, Sonic League, YouTube, and all that. Goes into a group of beings that accumulate psychic abilities around the planet. Psionics is a military term, or the science of psychic abilities accumulate around the planet. And then I reverse engineer them so people can learn how to empower their life and make everything better. And it just makes everything awesome. It's like a greater science. Magic is essentially science that most people don't understand. And so as we understand more of the universe and ourselves, then where it becomes possible, and there's solutions to every problem. And with that, usually with the mind over matter aspect to making a solution. So there's a psionic ability for it. So yeah, I'd recommend people get into it because everyone's already using it, whether they know it or not, in their career and their focus and their skills, what they love, they're a genius at with is what they love to do, and flow with it. And every aspect of your life can have a psionic overlay that makes things better, like brushing your teeth, clearing the time crystals of the teeth of timeline incursions, or um, making a magical smoothie that you like give lots of love and different healing herbs and stuff, and uh, your way you approach the dream realms and vision questing, exploring, and artwork, of course. So you brought up a cool thing that brought up something. You made the word excavation as it applied to more than just like archaeology, which is beautiful because there's also psychological archaeology, which is digging through the mind and asking questions and going deeper. There's things with emotions, the soul, spirit. I would say there's stuff with art as well as with singing where you can excavate and like sound frequencies where you're like digging. It's kind of like crypto mining, but like for the airs around you or something,
Yeah.
and deeper layers of reality past the veil, perceptions, macrocosmic bodies. What do you think of when you go into that?
Well, and I also think of like the diamond mind within, the facets, the inner facets of our crystal within us, and all the memory that's within the rock as we're shining and buffing all the cracks out, or like say there's a cloudy facet, but in its core, the core essence of that double permeated crystal, it's still pure and perfect, and it still has that multifaceted pillar. It has its innate foundation and blueprint within it that is ever, you want to say, penetrating, permeating. So if you excavate that within yourself, as you're excavating, as you're evolving, you're also excavating the information, where, say, the DNA, you're excavating remembrance, or even, buffing out. If you're buffing out cloudy facet, you're still excavating particles of the dust and the crystal of the rest of you, so it's like such a you could say like it's a metaphor in a way, but really everything, like everything that's physical has another reflection, a multifaceted, like hugely layered, multifaceted, different perspectives. And mining, like, the concept or the energy of excavation or mining, we're digging within ourselves where all the information is, not going, to, I mean, well, some people go to a crystal store to buy a crystal, but you can actually excavate from within what you already have, which is already, which is already whole, really, because there's like a misperception in a lot of ways of, of at least I feel, of, there's with the separation energy, especially a misperception. It's an impossibility to be separated from source. There's this confusion. And through the illusion dissolving away in the excavation process, you find out that you've always been connected and everything's always been right where it is. It's all accessible. Like everything is accessible. You don't need to go out and get it somewhere. But if you release, the clouds and the dust and the other gunk that's accumulated, you can find everything is right there while you're digging, while you're, or not digging or however you're finding it. Um, it's one of those things that are so fascinating to me being here is that everything is so reflective in a way that you can perceive it differently through your experience. And that's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed art and writing, is because you can kind of look at things so rhythmically of excavation. It's much beyond, planting a daisy.
Mm, yeah, I agree. Oh, beautiful. A lot of images come off for words. And yeah, I agree. And mostly before I would go into vision questing with this in excavating inward and going through the many layers of the mental maze, finding what's there. There's also an internal heart inventory, both for astral body, dreaming body, and other aspects of for spirit that you can like use for tools and sacred objects and empowerment and these orbs of light or inner fires or upgrades that you get. Sometimes you get a sword or something if you got face down a thing that shouldn't be internally. Um, and you got to go deeper into the consciousness. Because there's many ways to get there and pathways people take, either paths, hallways, stairs, going deeper into himself, or just vision questing, going in a direction and going through step by step and following guides that can take you deeper. There's always valuable stuff as you go deeper, and it makes big changes in the consciousness. Can turn on whole types of energy that empower your life greatly. I think we're getting some questions from Pure Heart of Gold Intention, by the way. I believe they said
Oh,
telepathy and levitation, both wisdom keepers. If you wanted to comment on that, and I'll comment on that. I go into that quite a bit.
let me see, where is it? Oh, oh, I see. Telepathy and levitation. Are you both wisdom keepers? I see. Okay. Um, do you feel like you're a wisdom keeper, Sean?
Yeah, I teach telepathy to my clients, and levitation is one of those top tier abilities. So you got to learn a lot, though I know the methods to do it, and I had various experiences, so I can definitely talk about it. Did you want to bring up anything before I go into it for a bit?
No, no, please do.
Oh,
Go ahead.
there's all kinds of telepathy. There's different bandwidths on the stations of like a radio, from the oldest of consciousness to foundational elementals to plant life to animals, and then the super hybrid. Like aliens are easier to do telepathy with, and then beings that are very good at it. And then the hybrid super race like us, it's a lot of layers to it, and there's a lot of blocks. So not the easiest thing to engage with another human, because of all the mental wards and blocks and tuning down for it. But yeah, you can engage with it quite strong. I'd recommend talking to Earth or your source connection or higher self or God and ancestors, soul family, beings that are nice, angelics. And you can also do your ancient off-world soul family that is probably knows about various individuals and follow them in like ships out of phasing clouds. And they'll have telepathic text messages or like emails, whatever, already in your heart, ready to respond to. You've recorded everything you had in your life. And it's making the operating system so that you can perceive it and translate it and then practice the translator. Gaining a partner works really well. And then you start like with back and forth, like telepathic text messaging and then walkie-talkie and then live Skype call. And then it goes up to like very, I've gotten up to very visceral and definitely you like in the beginnings it's like am I making this up in my mind and like then it gets more individuated, has a frequency of the individual as a signature frequency, and it's like if you're talking to Earth, very defined feminine, a lot of love coming in, different from your regular thought voice after a while. But your brain, when you're first starting, your brain kind of translates a lot of things. So it's like training it so it kind of feels like that in the beginning. So there's going to be a lot of doubt. So I recommend people go into that. And then it gets to where it's like booming and there's all these kind of nudges, tickling on the nose and a blast of air in the ear and stuff as if your cell phone's ringing or buzzing kind of thing. Beings knocking on the door and to pay attention to those. And there's other ways beings will get your attention, and then it will be like an overlay of going along with the message that you're receiving. And it's good to get upgrades in the beginning from beings that know what they're doing, and then also like a mystery school internally, because a lot of the blocks you have to release yourself internally. If a lot of people will have forms of clairaudience and telepathy, like the tinnitus ringing in the ears is like the beginning stages of that. And people that have it on but are unbalanced or like schizophrenic kind of thing, they're usually having something talk to them. It's just probably not the best thing, and it goes along with negative entity attachment. So if they balance it, then they become powerful shaman, and then they can communicate with the unseen. So I help people balance that and get the demons off them too. And anyone can learn this stuff. So I run them through a process, and then they practice it enough times they can take off with it and engage with it anytime. So absolutely, everyone can learn it. And then there's higher degrees of if you give it enough attention. There's like organ tech that amplify a lot of this, like your supercomputer of the body. A lot of that has blocks on it. And so if you release the blocks and make it so that you're safe to experience it, because we kind of sometimes lock it down when we don't want to hear, like if you get a lot of negative voices, then it can drive a person to think like insecurely, like, oh, there will be voices, you suck, kind of thing. And then some people also want to kill themselves in that kind of thing. But if you can take care of it, which I'll help anyone that does that. Levitation. I have some products on my site that I translated into telepathy from Quetzalcoatl, like when I went to the few of his pyramids. So that was really nice. Very interesting tech that I didn't understand before of how they used it. A lot of the dragons have beyond just the wings levitation, especially the Chinese kind of type lung dragons. Uh, there's a lot with that. There is a safety mechanism because it's one of those top targeted abilities because a lot of things want it, and it leads to if you don't have full control over it, you can die because if you get it stolen while you're flying, then you die, and so there's buffering systems that your higher self needs you to go through in the mystery school and learn from, that make assurances of that, as because it rather you not have the ability than risk of dying, but if you can prove it. So, and then a lot of these abilities are like going through the chakras from the root upward. And so the stability and survival aspect is part of the root chakra and facing the fears of any time that happened in the past. Sometimes in Lemuria, I'll see track back people's levity and other abilities being stolen from them. And depending on what they're doing at the time, that can be pretty detrimental to where sometimes they just die afterwards. Um, but there's it's definitely in our genetics. So a lot of different species we inherit from, like the founders of it. There's a Fey race, there's the dragons. Um, I've seen different things that people can activate it in. We've got all this dormant genetics for all these abilities, but we've got all these blocks too. And there's been a big rule change on the earth. So there's more rules and things we gotta account for, and there's been a big invasion. So it's not the safest environmental situation, in that there's a lot of things treating us like energy batteries. So we have to adjust for that too. And I have videos on my site of a lot of people doing, well, at least I think 3 or 4 that I last time I checked, pretty substantial evidence of people levitating. There are a lot of fakes out there, and they won't emit rare energy in their video. These ones do, so that's why I give them a little bit more credibility. There'll be like shamans that do it, monks, little girls in the forest that run away when they notice the cameraman. There's all kinds of stuff. People changing the weight of their body, which goes to a different form of light body other than like bright light, changing the weight. And then there's like a Tibetan mystery school that would jump through the mountains because they can make the weight of their body so light. And I recommend people training that on like a giant scale or something they can meditate on, like a horse scale or dog scale. And then they record the scale, um, and then they look at like a timer go off when the weight changes abruptly, and then make it so that they know what they're doing at that time, and they do more of that. A lot
Can
of it
you
is
explain
good.
about that? Oh, no, go ahead. I was going to say, can you explain more about that, where people can know how to tap into that within themselves as they're changing their own density, releasing different things? Because that's essentially, in a way, how that's the arrival mode, is as you're releasing, you're getting lighter, and then you have these obviously alongside with knowing how to tune properly. But can you go more into that?
Sure, sure. I love this topic. Yeah, and you said it well with density, is like that's a big aspect of ascension. There's like densities of light and increasing how bright you are, and that goes into like density of accumulation of light, which is always good. And then releasing a density of negativity. It's like the weights that hold down the hot air balloon. And that also goes with earthly attachment, which is part of the process of like all these things that hold us down in the gravity spectrum, which is kind of weird. It goes beyond the physics of gravity to more spiritual aspect of it that has an intelligence that's like maintaining safety on here so we don't fly off the planet. Um, yeah, so I'll give you like all kinds of hints with it. Um, So it's a gravitational field control systems, most levity. There's all these different sciences of like, I've seen 13 different types of levitation people have been able to make, like frequency levitation, static levitation, acoustic levitation. There's different systems to it, that there's also the aspects of like birds and how they're not it's like they're becoming one with the air and the wind and understanding the currents, the updrafts, the downs, the things that keep them aloft, and they're like merging with the air, and like a fluid dynamic ocean. There's changing the weight without changing like you internally. That's an ability people have been able to do. So that's part of it, and then making it so that you're independent in your own electromagnetic field kind of is the thing. And then you can separate from the pull of gravity. And then there's control over pull in a certain direction, or going up or down. There, you've probably dreamed of flying before, right? Okay.
Yes.
So have you ever felt remember a sensation in your body? I would always remember like an accumulation of energy in my solar plexus, and as I focused on it, and then as I accumulated a whole bunch more, I would take off, and if I let go of focus, I would descend. Do you have anything like that you remember?
I don't specifically remember that, but I do remember a change within the sensations within my body, where I could feel that something that was, I want to use the word torsion, but it was different. It was different than that. It was like the condensation in a way of the structures within were expanding into a more not necessarily fluid, but a more open form, to where it actually reminds me of when you were talking about the bird becoming one with the air. It's like you just melt in with it.
Mm.
You just become that one with everything else. And the physical, not that the physical goes away, but it's not perceived the same.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. And there's like different states of consciousness people have used as the siddhis, which is like a Hindu thing for abilities that form while you're ascending, um, and that they come naturally with that. And so I recommend that path too, and increasing that light to where it's such a bliss, full state that it does go along with that, because it's just so wonderful to fly around. It just feels so good. And there's also like dynamics to energetic plasma wings that like merge with the reality and kind of become one, and it takes you aloft. That's kind of like the static with the spider webs after when the babies release a little strand and it takes off with electricity, and then they're able to levitate it, or the bees and scarab beetles that have like the type of charge they build up, as well as structural. It's like a hole with a pyramid coming out on the top. I mean, in the center, and it makes an interesting thing that would make a torus. Um, every time they flap their wings in between the shell, and that caused them to levitate above what the wings could actually carry in their body mass. And then there's like all kinds of things going into that. Magnogravitics, things with magnetism and the internal structure and taking control of certain systems. And then so a lot of that is going with learning how to control certain emotional outputs that have to do with the control of levitation and the gravity field to build up in like gravity, like versus levity. Let's say increase of mass versus uh repellent of mass, or yeah, not the words. It's like, so like linking to field and building weights versus lightness of weight, and repelling from other fields. And there's certain atomic structures we can understand and then gain control of as well internally, though I do find a lot of levity energies in the solar plexus. And we can do some cool stuff with the breath work too. But I'm learning as we go and get into but a mastery. There's a lot to do in the mystery school, step by step. You can go internally and look at it. A lot of it starts with though fear, releasing earthly attachment, or understanding the situation of risks, and then being okay with it, to where even if it's worth it to you, even if you die, and then letting all the shackles and restrictions and buffering release so that you can fully flow to it. And it's kind of like an upward spiral instead of a downward manifesting too, as like a free sense. And there's like a whole mastery of recovery of knowledge from past lives that people can go into. I've experienced bleed overs from projects like Montauk, unfortunately, and how they would train it. They took me to two different types of bases, one under DC and then another under Montauk, but it was in another timeline because they had a teacher that was it was rare to get master teachers for that. And the physics of that timeline were a little bit more lenient towards levitation manifesting easier. So they would take you through a portal and then go to that place. They brought a bunch of people there from different time periods and uh yeah, anyway. So the first test base was deep underground, huge. It was like concrete everywhere and a huge warehouse. And they have like a concrete steps going up on the side of the wall, and they'd have you go up like 7 feet and then jump off. And they'd have a camera, sensors record you to see your descent rate, and then they'd have you keep doing it, and you'd get rewarded if you were able to slow down your descent, and punished if you weren't. And then each day they'd kind of like have you go up another step. And they didn't really care when I went if you hurt your knees. They had like some type of medical recovery system with that. That was like a rejuvenation fluid chamber of some type. And so they would just like use that as stress and fear to like push you to like do some type of stress-based evolution. And you eventually enough times you would slow your speed like milliseconds and then seconds worth. And they keep having you go up higher and higher until it really hurt when you fell. And so you had a lot of push to slow your descent and soften it. And it would just go on like that for days and for like months until you could slow it enough to where it's like you could noticeably see that you were doing something energetically. And then, besides all the punishment, the you'd eventually get it to where you stop descending and you were still in midair, and then they reward you with chicken nuggets and not abuse you, essentially. Who's the person that I remember? I don't, there's probably other programs for this. This is just mine. I've also heard of one where they make them jump off a cliff at Montauk near the lighthouse, and it'd be like a Neverland kind of thing in their programming, like Peter Pan and stuff. And anyway, so you'd stop, and then eventually they want you to go upward, and then they would train you to go upward faster, and then side to side, and move and like pushing off with it towards a direction, and then they would try to get us to learn a type of thrust, which was more like in feeling based, and then move around, and then they would have us carry more and more weights, and so that we would be able to levitate with that. Eventually, they would try to get us to where we could hold a person and then carry them across the room. And then they would have us race to the other side. And then after a bit, enough of that mastery, they took us to this other facility that I was talking about in another timeline. And that was also deep underground, a lot more deeper and huge. It was even bigger. It was like a big obstacle course with like fake mountain type and like rings and obstacle courses to see if you could completely control your flight. And then it would get you into racing and carrying people and cargo and others through that, and then get it to a higher mastery. And the fastest ones would be like the top of the class. If you're wondering, like, what do they use these for? Because I was a little confused at that too. Like, what the hell is the purpose for this? It's it's the name of the project, something to do with like guardian angel or something. And it's mostly, with my experience, they were taking me specifically to the future in battlefields. They would uh essentially, as far as I could tell, they were getting me to retrieve people and um, valuables that would on the timeline either be killed or end up in the wrong hands, and there was an opportunity to come in and uh, bring it out of harm's way and bring it to their hands. So that's
So,
what they're using them for.
well, how with those experiences and what was learned, how can we come to, in our own ways, implement that as we're learning, because we're all remembering our telepathic nature and we're all able to levitate and defy the structures and so-called confusions about gravity, etc. How can one start to actually explore that? Besides the obvious, which would be releasing a lot of the dense energy, dense thoughts, patterns. But is there certain, you mentioned breath work. What specifically would start to tune and hone one into doing that as they're evolving?
Okay, so um, there's kind of three paths, but mostly two. Well, one is the ascending pathway into freeing the weights on our heart and transcending those, and figuring out what weight means and the lessons in it, and understanding the physics of it deeply. So you can either just ascend and the abilities like that come along with it, and knowing this is easier because you're working from the core, and things knowing this comes in quick, or you can focus on it specifically and understand the knowledge of it, or you enter a situation like the Montauk thing would, where they stress evolve you with their phrase of by whatever means necessary, and to where your body requires it and unlocks it out of survival. So there, and then yeah, whatever pathway people want to do, though I recommend being careful with that third one, because not everyone has a healing chamber for your knees. But there's a scientific thing that could probably be made with that, where it's like I've seen wind tunnel chambers. You could probably do something with that, with monitoring cameras and speed of descent, and in a safe way that like somehow triggers the need response to survive. Because yeah, people have unlocked that. I've also heard stories of kids levitating out of their crib and their mom finding them in another place, and it's like that's kind of crazy. And they just like put it away, but it keeps happening, and then like what the fuck? They're blaming the husband, and you know who's doing this. Um, and then sometimes witnessing it, and like if you've ever had those levitating kind of dreams out of your bed kind of thing.
Yeah.
For the going more into like the ascending pathway that goes along with that. Mhm. Okay, 90. A lot of it's held in the ego because the ego is a survival mechanism. It also holds most of the weights and blocks in us that we're then to face and then transform into like the staircase going up, block kind of blocks. Uh, and there's quite a number in our heart with frequency control. If we gain control over the energy emissions in our body, mm, so most of the weights holding us down, that would be the thing we're embracing and then change that thing we change the weight with. That's the egos and the solar plexus. The heart will have to do with the frequency control, and there's also a superpower volt that usually will emit the levity energy, and you'll want to ask questions going internally about that and how to turn it on full pressure and then increase the density of it so then you can flow it through your body, and understand the electromagnetic field, that the gravitational field, and the control mechanisms for it. And then there's like a vision sense and mental state of consciousness to reach. There's an emotion to cultivate, which usually goes along with the lighter positive emotions like love, bliss, happiness, excitement. Excitement usually goes along with you generating tons of energy. Um, okay. The electromagnetic field of the heart is the main electromagnetic field that's like the biggest torus of our body. And that's centering a lot of the gravitational field. And it's, to examine it, see its activity, go within like a mechanic. A lot of it is building up energy of that type of levity, and then still it's going a lot of inward stuff. So oh yeah, it looks like a lot of it has been damaged. The mechanisms for most people inheriting, but that's why the sending pathway and healing it is like this they eventually get it as a city symptom that comes along with resolving more of the core aspects of the spirit, the soul, body, emotions, etc.
Is there, thank you for that. Is there a way specifically when you're working with people that you help them access those dormant um, dormant abilities or awareness as they're releasing all these things? Like, because I know there's multi layers, at least what I was reading about, with the different aspects that you work with, and just even briefly talking to you, there's so many layers that um, that you dive into. So how exactly are you assisting in those processes for people?
Um, yeah, I write like hundreds of journals, so I have like for each ability that I've gleaned a whole bunch into. I found like though there's like tier levels for different abilities, and some of the higher level abilities need a bunch of the foundational smaller abilities first to build up to that. And so it's good to focus on the things that it's easier to manifest, which I'm learning more and more, and, as many as I can find. And I help people by teaching them those, and they list off to me their problems and what they got going on in their life they're facing, where they want to be when they imagine their greatest self, and then I formulate the bridge to getting there, and the system that I help a lot of master of emotional kind of intelligence to where they can transcend all the suffering of different layers, bring peace to all war so they can get rid of their targeting, release of pain. I'm really well known for that. Amplify intelligence and get rid of brain fog and illnesses, and a lot of like repair into the body tech, and turning on the power. Used to have chronic fatigue syndrome, learned the cure for that, so I help people with that. Learned a lot into infinite energy and power and accumulation so they can supply and uh, have a flow of energy going into these abilities. Vision questing, learn how to turn on the third eye, making it feel safe for my clients, and then run them through a process to amplify the HD and the brightness of it. And then they can go into many different vision quests. Like recently, I did a live show for memory retrieval, and that was very emotional for them. So it was nice to share that with people. Not a lot of people see how that works. Telepathy, of course, and the amplification of different senses so you can perceive more of the reality and what is existing and explore more of it, meet beings, keep access the spirit world, become friends and gain allies and have more of an influence over your environment to where you can protect your space and be a caretaker, and then influence outward as you release the layers of unnecessary suffering, and then understand the layers of necessary suffering, and go into what you can do for this earth, why we're here. And knowingness amplification is a big one, with the gleaming of truth in anything that you focus on, and become an oracle. And then all these abilities, as they layer up, you expand into more capability, and then things become limitless eventually, because it is. With the super hybrid technology that we're accumulating 10,000 plus races, then it goes deep.
Yeah, thank you. Do you want to share more about all these, speaking of that, in a way, the artifacts with
Sure.
different technology that is embedded within them?
Okay. Yeah. So in Mexico, go out into some interesting archaeological sites, and we're finding crazy stuff in alien artifacts coming through of these different races. Long skulls, some with wings. This guy has a pine cone in there as an example. This one with wings, this long skull, they're kind of like holding up that. Some are holding, oh God, there's a UFO. Uh, this one has wings, long skull, different planets like Saturn and Jupiter. It's like 50 pounds. Uh, they're holding these spheres. There's a mer person here version, so there's multiple terrain versions of the long skulls. Their genetic engineering that they've done. You can't really see it too properly, but there's a being sitting in lotus position because the dirt is going away, and it's got four wings. It's got a DNA helix kind of thing going
Oh,
down. Oh God. Okay. Then there's a Thoth like ibis being holding an ankh.
I see
right
it.
here. And then an Anubis like being uh, there. I believe it's, gosh. Yeah, this is holding the DNA. And very powerful crystal skull talks to me, has spirits in it. Great, gives me great dreams. Some of the best I've had with telekinesis, levitation, teleportation. So and then goes into like I'll help you manifest these abilities. It's essentially doing like a sales pitch, and it's like, okay, I'll work with you more for sure. And yeah, it's powerful. It's especially good at amplifying consciousness and the conscious mind, and then with that comes a lot of capabilities and expanding the brain. There's also this one. We have this is a little bowl that is a sun deity kind of thing with alien kind of eyes.
Oh yeah.
And a being that's holding the bowl and a UFO next to it. And there's the ET thing that we found with many of them and some dragon type Quetzalcoatl beings. As an
Wow.
example, some various symbols. There's a lot of like Mayan or Aztec, Toltec kind of symbols that are used often. Mm. This guy is fun. This one glows in UV light, and it's there's a species that looks like it in the Russian alien species book, and it's listed as the shining ones, which is cool with the UV light glowing. Um, I've talked to this being quite a bit. It links to the real species. Each one of these artifacts is kind of like a cell phone.
Oh, so I was just going to ask you, how are you connecting to it? And are you asking specific questions, or does it just start talking to you and then you have this like a discussion between you two, or more than two?
So like how I first started out with any artifact that we get, we quarantine it, clear it, purify, depossess, exercise, get rid of it. It's mostly like the Vatican sending like this false angel grid from stolen angel parts that they do to dominate the area back in the conquistadors coming over. They do it with the pyramids and objects of power and stuff. Besides then the regular spirits there are quite happy to get that released off them, so they become fairly good friends quickly and can go through a process of it's like a filter I do where it's like an audit to make sure they're in harmony with natural law and doing no harm and not being vampiric or anything like that. And I then I run them through that and then empower them and bring them wholeness and healing. And some of the beings are dormant and in some type of hibernation. So then I can heal them and make them feel good to wake up if they're either in that purposely or as a kind of a coma from being beat up kind of thing. And there will already be sometimes beings awake and then they'll contact me and give me some trades and because they want to kind of impress me for as I'm being their new caretaker. And I want them to let them know that I'm not requiring them of anything. I want to support them in what they want to do. That's what the Crystal Skulls first when they started talking to me. Big blast of telepathy in my ear, and I was like, "Whoa!" And we're like chilling out while I was letting it get shined on and upgrades from the sun. And it asked me, what am I doing in this? What am I being doing? What am I doing being activated during this time of turmoil? And what are you wanting of me? And I said, I don't need anything of you. I don't require anything. I want to be your friend and a caretaker and support you. What do you want? And then it gave me a list of 30 plus things of things for Earth, bringing it to homeostasis, about like 10 plus things having to do with the Crystal Skull Collective and supporting it to grow bigger, and 20 things having to do with supporting humanity and its evolution. There's like a link to them. There's many of these crystal skulls of different species. all the species artifacts that I've seen in representation, humans has their genetics in one shape, way, shape, or form. So we're like a big garden that also resolves the ZT species problems. And this one's for some reason its original home planet is missing, in that you can't remote view it in the time period now. You can only do it back in time. And that makes me suspiciously think it's not destroyed. Maybe it's like some temporal or a spatial thing going on with it where it's in hiding. But either way, they're not able to get to it, which makes it a problem for them. And it's making a smaller and smaller connection to this tree of life that supports their fertility. So they've had to resort to cloning to amplify their race and stasis pods. And then they're interacting with us and this planet because we have the cure for that, and this planet because it's the ability to generate new fertility chakras from other worlds and bring them here. And we, as a race that's pretty much limitless in its psionic potential, we have the ability to do that for them and help them with others' problems. A lot of other races also kind of, we kind of take souls for granted. It like seems all natural and like everything and all life have souls. It's more like the spirit and soul is a little bit different. As like the spirit from the heart is like a tree of light and spreading out of consciousness and experience and lives and branching off through all existence. And then soul is kind of like a backpack of energy, power, memory, experience, and superpowers, and all this other cool stuff that kind of goes along with a high level of source connection and the secret things as I keep tuning into it. And the beings that usually have an advanced soul are like sources, gods, angelics, high level dimensionals. But a lot of beings have ascended with just the spirit. So we're doing a thing where we're ascending with a greater level soul. And every life that I've came across has a spark or a dormant furnace for a soul, and they can earn more. But we have kind of take for granted being born with a greater level amount of soul aspects, and all kinds of beings and ETs I've seen. They're very interested in evolving their soul. It seems like a newer, high level capability thing that's all the rage. And it's not good to give away soul. That's why I don't recommend that for people. Don't do deals for that. Or trade your DNA to ETs because you'll feel what it becomes. But we have the ability to advance as a cure emotional body of other beings and help them on the pathway to gaining more of a soul, which is more of like natural law, moral code, do no harm, take no shit, and amplifying the expansion of life. And the solution to a lot of the ETs is helping the human race evolve and thrive and grow to where they're even greater in capability to then solving all the other races blocks and hangups in their growth and ascension too. Looking also.
What planet did they say what planet that they are not able to find? The one that you were just showing, the little artifact?
It's a planet close to the star clusters in the direction of Sirius, but it's not really named well, and it wouldn't really mean anything to us anyway. If I just like I could translate a light code for it, but so there's also this, and there's different ones you'll find like a lot of the long skull ones I'm finding. See, find the exact one for you. What I'm talking about. It's kind of like this, I suppose. The ones on the back. Um, so yeah, these guys. This guy has wings. Uh, There, when I track back the planet, and a lot of other species are here because their planet was destroyed, or same kind of process. They have to come here to find a solution to something big. Some of the long skulls that I read have colonies all over the place, including multiple, pretty much all the planets, or at least their moons in the solar system. And this, at least from what I track back in some of the artifacts in and stargates and links to a star system, there's one that a lot of them go back to as one of their oldest planets, at least in the Taurus constellation. Ulnath star is what it is. Let's see, there's a staff here, there's some plasma, some triangles, a UFO, and planet. And so that,
I was just gonna, oh,
there's a
wow.
little guy in there.
Wow.
So this guy's pretty powerful. He's giving people in the audience upgrades, which is nice. So sometimes he might choose you. The coffin's really good at fortress protection like abilities, and it seems to be protecting this totem for this particular being, which is pretty powerful. It's got a lot of different things like telekinesis, aerokinesis, pyrokinesis, teleportation, changing gravitational field for like geomantics, pyramid building and stuff. And a lot of these beings are nice. They're or neutral. They're being venerated as, you know, either deities or whatever, as having a big impact. I've seen some that are like venerating some things out of fear though, but you'll kind of be able to tell. Here's another guy with a bag and a sphere, some wings. That's one of the long skulls with wings on the side, some Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Is that is it like more like a capsule? Is that hollow inside? Or is it, oh, that doesn't
Um,
open, does it? That one?
it doesn't open. It's pretty heavy. It's like it's a little. It's like a raw kind of throne,
Mhm.
and it would hold one of the cubes that we have on it
I see.
at the
Okay.
top. Yeah, it doesn't seem hollow, but some of the stone has like different kinds of spongy holes in it, which I've heard is a quality that happens when you're doing stone that is melted like stone RNG, and it's reformed. Uh, like let's see some of the holes here as an
Oh,
example.
yeah.
And yeah, so I'd say that it's like some type of geopolymer of combined minerals together to make a stone into itself. And I'll get more for you if you want. I also got videos I can share as well of
Yeah.
different things shot. But I think we did a little show with some at one point, like into a few of those things. See if I can find it. Any questions you have about that? The artifacts?
Well, I had experienced that one at the conference, and I thought it was interesting when I started asking it questions, how, because I never really thought, I never really thought about it or experienced anything that was found like in that particular way that I can recall. So I think that's an interesting way to explore what each one has to say, or share. Um, and I guess I was surprised by that.
What did they say? Now, what do you glean from talking to them?
Was that what the first one you shared? Was that the one that was there? Because that one looks a little bit different.
No, that we got two crystal skulls at the moment.
Yeah.
That, go ahead. What you read from that?
Well, I think you were suggesting to ask it its name, but it came through like a code to me. Or at least that's the way I heard it, but I guess it's just, how you're perceiving it. So, to me, it felt like a tone and a code to um, incorporate to bring through that it was like holding. I don't know if you experienced that with the other ones, or is it just depending on who's working with it, what they're opening up to share? Is that
Yeah, they'll connect me differently, so I love hearing how people experience them differently. I've heard that kind of thing before, but it can be many ways, especially they'll kind of try to reach a person. People will be open in different ways, like different senses that they've worked out more as like a muscle. So they'll try to find out a way to get the information to you somehow. So,
right?
Um, yeah, and I'll show you some more. So here's one that's like a little astronaut kind of thing, like with his like curled positioning. He seems to be pointing to a skull, which could be a crystal skull, but I've seen some ones like that. Is like the cone heads,
Uh-huh.
and on the back, there's a little guy with a feather in his hands. This one amplifies levity as an example with what we're talking about, and it's got a setup for it as a necklace. This one's more feminine, and there's like a little baby flying thing right above it on its head.
Hmm.
But feel free to tell me what you interpret. And then there's a person in the back pointing upward. Interesting.
It's like talking about a messenger, or it's pointing to something, perhaps like star observation. Do- Is that what
Yes.
what's that?
Yeah, I'm just hearing what you're saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it almost looks like a star observer, or perhaps downloading something from the stars, receiving information.
Mhm.
Maybe
Yeah,
a
I think
record
that's true.
keeper or something like that, like maybe a record keeper. Because it kind of reminds me of an antenna in a way.
Fine. There's another one that would be a necklace.
That's
An
interesting.
interesting stone. And I'll just give you more time to look at it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting symbol on stone in the center.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
This is an interesting code. I am not sure what this means. And a lot of these guys are emitting rare energy, and I try to translate the abilities, and it's like we barely have any like cultural reference to the ability.
Right.
I'll show mine one that I was able to translate. I haven't been able to translate this one yet.
That feels like a bird, like a hybrid bird, kind of like a bird something. Part bird,
Yeah, it could be.
At least it feels that way. Oh, interesting. But there's another like animal or a being above it too.
Hmm.
You see that one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. But that goes the other way of the face though, on the other side, doesn't it? Isn't that more on the side?
Um, so I think you're talking about like this code going off to the side a little bit.
Yeah. Oh,
Kind
I
of.
see. Okay. Yeah, because then it's like the one that looks like it has legs, the one on this side, hoping my camera isn't mirrored, but the one that's on this side has the legs, but he's like kind of angled this way. You know what I mean? So kind of curious about that. He's in flight or he's about to teleport. Tele.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good point. And that little sun kind of oh, shit,
Oh,
beaming thing in the center of him, that could be some type of energy mission
yeah.
demonstrated.
Or
Hmm.
like it looks like a motor kind of. It's like
It could
the
be a
spin. Interesting.
be an entire symbol to a word or phrase or language or name or something. We're finding more and more artifacts, and there's some that have like whole books. They're like a codex. So I don't know, but eventually I think this stuff can get translated, and then the language recovered. Here's the one that's mine that I translated, and this one's
Oh,
emitting weird dimensional abilities. The only other time I have interaction with the things that this emits was when I was getting visited by extra-dimensional witch when I was young as a kid. It's freaky as hell. I just have these keep reoccurring dreams, and I still have them to this day, where I get visited by this kind of like grandmother-ish figure, but she can change her age. And she'll take me to this whole opened up dimensional like town that's connected to my some childhood places I grew up. But when I go there, they don't exist. And I just remember them super vividly. And it's like there's pathways to there, and there's like whole trails, and there's a fire station, there's like stores you can get magical objects at, a movie theater. There's a forest, there's like driveways and people's homes and stuff and like neighbors, and it's like I have no in it, like I tried looking for it, it just doesn't exist. So I'm like, what the fuck? And I remember my grandma or well, a grandma energy, which could have been her, but like I've also interacted with her in other ways, taking me there quite a bit and teaching me different types of things. And I still have like different mystery school dreams of being taught things. Here's an interesting code on the back you might be able to translate better.
oh, can you put it a little closer?
Mission.
I
Camera.
I know the zoom.
Camera's a little zoomy, yeah.
Oh, here, wait, I want to go this way. It looks like it's sitting down. I feel like it's a being sitting, like, not, like this way, holding, oops, gonna knock my crystals off the table. It looks like the head, like the head is here, and I don't know if you could see me, but the legs are like this way. Or, well, oh, now that I see it in the light, it's still different. Hmm. No,
Oh,
it's more
super
like a,
hard to translate.
what's that?
Yeah, it's super interesting and hard to translate, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
People in
now,
the comments can do it too.
oh yeah, I haven't looked there in a while. Oh, Christy says it looks like a portal. Um, and then that one asked if the artifacts are from Mu. Is one of the artifacts from Mu?
I do know about Mu. As far as I can tell, Mu is closer to Japan, and that the royal families from Japan claim to be survivors from destructionary events from Mu, and also dragon families. And there's an inner Earth faction and underwater mer person faction. We tracked a bunch back to that, and there's like the Dragon Triangle is related to it. And all these kami that would be like nature spirits or gods or people that were deified and like powerful beings incarnate, and then they sometimes sacrifice themselves by closing big rips in space-time that opened up to close them and keep the reality together back in time. Uh, I would say Mu is its own thing, but there could be, so that would be around Atlantis fall towards Egypt, and even going back these pan-continental civilizations. There is evidence that there's like a link to like some of the places that these are being found is linked with Atlantis, Atlan, and Aztec, kind of Toltec and 20 other civilizations, plus going back and Olmec and all this other things. So, and ETs that are being found that give off weird symbols that are ancient that have association with Atlantis and like Egyptian deities like the Ra being Nubis, Ibis, various long skulls that have been seen in Egypt, which is also a progenitor of Atlantis. And they say Maya like interacts with Atlantis as one of the inheritors of ancient tech. And there's 10,000 plus pyramids in Mesoamerica alone, so it's crazy. There's like a skull-like being and a sun-like being like before. Interesting symbol. The Green Lantern looking symbol here, which is interesting. A lot of these artifacts have symbols on them that are used today, being anciently used. So that's kind of crazy to me. And here,
Oop.
so here's a being that is bending over with a UFO on its back, which is interesting because that could mean that this is a giant and it's holding a UFO and carrying
Wow.
it somewhere, which would be an amazing thing to see if I were to see that. That'd be fucking crazy.
We might see it soon next week. Especially in Mexico, we might.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there's more things coming out.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing some cool things next week and some other times. So we're gonna be doing some more archaeological places and bringing on some new information for you guys and going in deeper with the Boogosphere. So, and people are finding those again underground as well, not just being fallen to the ground. A UFO ship. What do you think this thing in the center is, by the way?
Oh, well, it looks like the whole thing looks like a ship capsule with, I mean, what's the one in the middle? I can't really see it. Is that like it looks like the inside middle piece inside the cap, so it looks like a power generator or power pack or a energy transformer or a emitter of like the motor in a way.
True. And this is Saturn, a shooting star, and maybe a planetoid that might have some artificial systems on it or a symbol at least that represents the planet. And I don't know what this little guy at the bottom is. It's a little glyph. And this used to have dirt on it, so I didn't even see it until recently.
Oh, interesting. It's like a little like non-formed being or something. It's like floating in space. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like, but it looks like it's some kind of a being.
And here's a UFO at the top, a UFO coming out of maybe a portal or a cave or something, but probably a portal since there's no like mountain next to it too. And then three beings coming off each the UFO and the spheres. And the spheres, I was getting a little tired, but I'll turn this. So you can kind of see it with, though it's better when it's dark, where it absorbs the light and glows. But it'd be more impressive if it was dark.
Right. That
Yeah,
one's
I can't
really
really do it.
fascinating to me. What does it feel like to you? Like the energy of it?
This one's emitting a bunch of spatial tech, so looks like it can go into teleportation and whatever this thing is going on here is probably like some kind of curtained out portal. So I'm hoping to like get it involved in communication more with it and see what it's capable of. But it's got promising energy, and it was beautiful when we found it. It was like a dream, like crazy, like stuff when you find these things dug up, cut through roots, and it's like nope, couldn't have been planted except long ago, and it's kind of it's makes you wonder what's going on in inner Earth too at a deeper level. This
Right.
one's pretty nice too. It has a lot of abilities it's good at, as like these symbols of wind and ability to perceive more and kind of a hierarchy. You'll find a lot of these Illuminati-esque symbols, much older. Interesting kind of avatar like arrow on its head.
Oh yeah. Oh,
It's
wow.
good at this guy is good at reality bubble magic, internal elemental management, like everyone's got their own interaction with reality. It's like a dragon. Um liver tech. Apparently, this species has livers too. It has like a liver chi shield, and different types of magic it's good at. And then, of course, anything we like give it these objects capacity to do, they learn and grow, so they're good at healing and abundance quite a bit now. Here's a hybrid. So there's some artifacts made by ETs, some hybrids, and then further generations down of humanoid we're finding with that. So it's like a hybrid shaman type of guy that has all these kind of like tattoo-esque um, beings on them, planets, orbs. Let's go through it. So like Quetzalcoatl thing at the top. Oh, what's that? Actually, I do not know what that is. But there's a being's head at the front, so I'm not sure what all this is though. It's
Now,
hard to make out.
speaking of that, a lot of these artifacts do actually have it where it looks like there's tattoo-esque um,
Mhm. This
carvings.
is like you in the past. So this
Well, that's what I actually was, I've been asked those questions before, but I also been perceiving like a lot of these artifacts that are coming forth that have that. So what is your take on, or what do you know about, and your take on it about that with these other
of being
beings?
reincarnating as humans and stuff.
Um,
Yeah,
well,
totally.
well, yeah, I mean, yes, that part, but I mean, of having those types of markings, that's like certain factions and things like that. Is that how you feel that that is, or what do you feel that how that's correlated?
Yeah, I think other species will get tattoos. I think that's like a universal thing. And there's magic, and all these symbols are magical and will like anchor and amplify with belief and intention the spirit of guides probably that are on its side. These spirit body forms of beings, some in with legs, some with like these kind of tails. Let's go through
So,
that. And seeing ones with the Merkaba, the Metatron's cube, which was crazy because I didn't know how old that symbol was.
oh, you saw that symbol, Iman?
Yeah, I've also seen the radioactive symbol on Crystal Skull, so that was a little crazy to me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got the Quetzalcoatl feathered serpent there.
So
That's an interesting one.
when you
Go ahead.
do, um, wow, that is fascinating. I was just thinking of while you're showing that when you're feeling called to go like say on an excavation or a trip, how are you being guided to these areas where you know, because you're not just so happening to find anything. It's like very specific. How are you feeling that when you do? You know, where you're guided, is it like something is talking to you and showing you, literally showing you the pathway, or
Um, yeah. So I do I teach people psychic tracking. Um, And so I'll do telepathy with the land. We go with sometimes we go out and search ourselves, but um there's a lot of elders of different areas that we've become friends with, and they've been doing this for a while and looking in different locations. So they know general areas that they're known for finding artifacts. But when they go, they usually find one, two, or three, and so we've had the elders like cry in happiness of we found like 10 one time. And I do a lot of work where the last time we went, I found more than the other people, which was I'm very grateful. Um, so I will do a big ceremony in the beginning and honor the land and the spirits and get them to like us. I'll do a bunch of trade with them that supports them, purifying, depossession, getting wholeness parts back, amplifying their soul growth, and figure out other things they need to get them to like me. As I do more work for them, they start lighting up the map and like, oh, you're allowed to know about that one and that one. And all this, their spirits attached to these objects. So they approve or not approve you. And I think there's a whole hologram thing with it in like under the earth, like the earth is birthing things up from the ground, and if it doesn't like you or doesn't approve of you as a caretaker, then you won't find anything. And if it does, then things shift around. I've even talked to multiple people that have done this where they'll do a prayer and they'll touch the ground and then they'll like, oh, let's dig there, and then they find something. And also people that take DMT or other drugs and then they'll go digging and they'll find crazy stuff. So I think there's a whole weird shifting thing with what's under the earth and outside the Schrödinger's cat box of what's observable at any given time. And so if we are in the right state of consciousness and approved, then we can find some crazy stuff digging deep, like an archaeological thing that goes with the mind. When I'll also like notice uh what I'm doing at the time when I find things and what I'm doing when I'm not finding things, and then I'll adjust my consciousness. A lot of the times I'll keep asking what they want, and they want me to work on like gratitude and love and healing and giving lots to the land, supporting it, and releasing any ego, resolving and shrinking down evil, resolving greed. That usually comes up on honestly automatically as like a challenge, because a lot of people like kind of get that, oh yeah, let's find more kind of thing going on. So I'll like check that and work on it constantly, and then I'll find more objects. It's really nice. um they're usually found around pyramids, or we go to private land though. There's usually a pyramid in the area generally, and then rivers and hills and mountains and weird places you'd put a old civilization that usually has a water source of some type, or in the past they'll sometimes be marked by big stones of some type or in the area. And then we use psychic tracking to mark the location when we have approval. And in the first times we did it, and this afterwards, the places we mark usually end up finding something under them. There'll be big bushes and trees and roots and big stones that we have to move out of the way. So then and the soil, you can tell if it's been recently resolved. So there's a lot going into the proof that it wasn't just implanted before. And there's thousands of objects being found. I think I can go into share screen, and then I'll go through a few things for you. So here's like one that our friend Mike recently uncovered. Have you seen this video?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I seen that one. That one's wild.
Yeah, so this is another one that's really hard for people to believe. So I should probably go in order of less believe, more easily to believe, but whatever. So it's that
It's okay.
ancient gears. and apparently it can light up. So they found at least 3 objects that generate electricity. So that goes similar to the Baghdad battery. And they're talking about concepts that are similar to the Boogosphere on machines that will spark a static thing that will create levitation and movement. And some of these objects have magnets and just weird stuff you wouldn't think an old civilization would have, but we've repeated ourselves apparently. And
Wow.
machines of different types. So here, the cooler part though is when this turns off the light here. So that's crazy into itself.
Wow. Where you said Mike found that, right?
Yeah, and you can go to Alien Carvings as the social medias. Well, he got it. He's starting a museum. We've got friends and teams down there doing the work though to get them out of the ground.
Wow.
Which whole family with that. Let me see, let me go back. Sorry.
That's okay.
You know, Facebook. Here we go.
Yeah, I saw it when I first saw it. I was like, it's like floored.
Yeah, I know, right? There's some of the things here are just so crazy. It's hard. It's still hard for me to believe, which is it's healthy to be skeptical about all this stuff. And you'll honestly still have the skepticism regardless of what you find. Like here's a map, an example of all the crazy stuff. There's again 10,000 plus pyramids that you can find all around. And
Wow.
some of the things people have been finding there in artifacts. But I think I showed you a bit of this
Oh,
on the other show with Soma.
oh yeah, yeah.
I guess I can go back a little bit, but here's the Boogospheres, that concept, which is the levitating objects using a type of static and spinning to levitate them, and they're eventually trying to turn it back on. We'll be doing more work with that in the future, and they're finding all these spheres. We got a few spheres ourselves, and they reflect this kind of chip pattern on them. And here's me at one of the sites where we found one pyramid that I psychic tracked for, so I was really happy about that one. Tablets, you know, with the DNA. If you want me to stop on any of this, feel free, but trying to go to like I guess stuff I didn't talk about last time. Let's see here. Yeah, there's like these orbs being granted by UFOs to the different people there. And this might be like a god of the ground, which is an interesting concept with these masks and necklaces being found all around, which kind of goes into, I guess, the story of we got crazy stuff under our feet.
Right.
This interesting mudra because it looks kind of like she's levitating off the hands of these other 2 guys on her sides. And there's spheres darting across the sky. It's kind of a alien kind of face. There is a ET holding an orb. There's a UFO here. This one gives advanced intelligence increases. Like I'm excited to like go into that a little bit more. There's even xenomorphs being found, so that's going kind of crazy. But that's one of the hard ones for me to believe too. But there's like we found 6, so
Oh
kind of
wow.
things. I'll show you a few of those. There's like a moon thing with maybe the rabbit that like a lot of people say they see in the moon. It's at least my interpretation of it.
That one's interesting.
Yeah, feel free to tell me what you think is with your interpretation of this.
Of this particular one.
Yeah, of any of the ones that come up.
Those, well, the last one you were just on, um, whoop.
I can
You
go back to them.
the one, the very, very last one left, this one is some kind of like a, it feels like a tablet. Um,
Okay, so like this one.
is this one part of the other one, the last one?
Yeah,
They're related to
yeah.
it. Okay, I was gonna say so. It's like like it's like their records, like it's part of a tablet is what it feels like.
I like that interpretation. Yeah, it like props it up. With this one, like in the back. I don't know if I have a picture of that, but whatever.
Yeah.
There's like these ones with more these multi-dimensional rabbits and lotuses. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know if I showed you this one. I could play that in the background, but there's this doctor's office that has a bunch of them all around.
Yeah.
He's got thousands.
That's so wild. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, there's definitely more coming, that's for sure. Well, do you have, I know we've been on for a bit sharing all your wisdom and your exploration and what you do. Do you have maybe want to share some final words? I'm going to
Sure.
I'll put your information and your website and the summary that you have on your website in the video link also, so people can find you. But do you want to share any
Thank
final?
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Sean Bond, founder of Sonic League. So you can reach me at sonicleague.com or sonicleague@gmail.com. If you're, you can put trip inquiry if you're interested in the sacred journeys, divine awakening things in place of power, taking groups to Mexico, and Siren's going to be on the next one. Uh, and to open making them feel safe, giving back to the land and the pyramids there so the place of power erupt and then change the whole planet for the better, and making evolution spark out and generate, and then we trade with the authorities there, and then they amplify evolution in us as well. And different ones with superpower, so like Trip and Corey if you want to get me at sonicleague@gmail.com. And again, sonicleague.com if you want to reach me for consultation sessions, clearings, depossessions, unlocking your abundance, your telepathy, other abilities you want. And yeah, I'm on YouTube, and there's a lot of superhuman abilities there. So feel free to peruse through them, and you get to download into the subconscious, and then you can reverse engineer them yourself. And subscribe to both our channels, and I'm also on all the other social media in Sonic League or Sean Bond, so feel free to hit me up there. I'm on Facebook a lot, so you can contact me there too. And let us know if you want to see more of these shows. Smash that like, leave a lovely comment, share this with 5 friends, help wake up some of your friends. But there is a lot to the ETs. There's definite evidence to them. And the more we see this shared, the more we'll do these shows. Reach deep inside yourself. There's the power to overcome any challenge. You are more than you've ever been told, read, or studied. And there's a lot of great mystery to this world and who we are. And so dig in. There's so much to discover. And the more people doing excavations internally and externally, the more we find and share and build into the world, making it, bringing heaven to earth, bringing the codes in, uh, voicing the beauty into the world to help people become their greatest self like you do. So yeah, do follow your passion, your loves, become a genius at what you become a genius at what you love. You got this, guys. See you guys later. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for coming and everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
See you later, guys.